University Hospital, Karachi, Pakistan, and I'll be presenting our systematic review on prevalence and clinical characteristics of chronic pulmonary aspergillosis in post-tuberculosis aspergillosis. It is perhaps one of the most subtle yet the most severe of all TB sequelae. In countries with a substantial TB burden, numerous studies have primarily relied on estimates rather than observational data. So we have studies on patients with CPA, but not on patients with tuberculosis developing CPA. One of the presenters, Dr. Dare Borgse, presented a study. It had certain issues with the diagnostic criteria, so we have very few studies with stringent diagnostic criteria on CPA which have evaluated the prevalence of CPA in post-TB patients. We have almost 3 million incident cases per year of CPA based on modeling data, 1.3 million from newly diagnosed TB cases and almost 1.8 million cases from the 155 million post-TB TB survivors. So untreated CPA mortality is around 75 to 80%, and this can be reduced to around 40% with long-term antifungal therapy. Despite available research, few studies have specifically evaluated for the prevalence of CPA in patients with history of TB. We have literature gaps on, number one, the patients who might have misdiagnosed as TB but have CPA underlying, patients who have had TB and CPA at the onset of treatment, patients or the TB survivors who develop CPA on completion of TB, and data on patients who survive TB and develop CPA in around 2 to 5 years after initiation of TB. So this review was conducted in accordance with the PRISMA guidelines. A comprehensive search strategy was advised. Studies were identified through 3 databases, PubMed, Scopus, and the Cochrane Library, and a systematic search was conducted from their inception to August 2023. We included studies which were published in English, reported data on patients with CPA, including clinical characteristics, microbiology, treatment and outcomes, and this was specifically for the post-tuberculosis patients. We ended up with almost 600 citations and studies on the 3 databases using the following search strategy. So from the 3 databases, we had around 400 records, among which we excluded 70 based on the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Almost 330 were sought for retrieval at the end. We included 19 studies for the final review. Now this PRISMA chart is based on the database review from inception till August 2023. Few of the study results we have updated, and I might mention them in the result section. So 2 of the investigators independently assessed the quality of the studies using the Newcastle-Ottawa scale for both the cross-sectional and the cohort studies. Majority of the studies had the cross-sectional studies a good outcome and compatibility data. So after screening of 330 articles, a total of 19 studies were included, and we had a total of 4,531 patients in this systematic review cohort. Average age was around 42, and the median duration of follow-up in most studies was around 1 month. And most common presenting complaint was among the patients for whom we had data on comorbid conditions, diabetes mellitus was the most common comorbid condition, and few patients had concomitant chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, including asthma, in 26.8% of the patients. So this is a brief table describing the studies that we had included. These studies included those from high TB burden countries such as India, Nigeria, Indonesia, and those with low TB burden such as from Denmark and South Korea. Again, from US to Ghana and India, there was a wide variety of the study duration, study follow-up period, number of patients, and the patient population. Most common presenting symptom in these patients with CPA was cough. The most specific symptom, which was identified on multivariable analysis, was hemoptysis. However, this was present in only around 16% of the patients. So our updated analysis pooled prevalence based on a review of 31 studies, that is till March 2024, was around 17.2% among total post-TB patients, that is 4,500. Outcome data was available in only 3 of the studies. So the results that we have presented are quite heterogeneous because of varying diagnostic criteria used in these studies, the differences in population, the differences in TB burden, HIV status of the patient population. Some studies had specified the phenotypes, others had just mentioned chronic pulmonary aspergillosis as the overall diagnosis, and there were also variation in the quality of follow-up of patients. So most studies had used the global fungal infection for 2 diagnostic criteria for CPA in resource-limited settings. The second most commonly used diagnostic criteria in these studies was the ERS and the European Society for Microbiological Infections. Moving on to the HIV status, almost majority of studies have not mentioned whether they had checked or assessed for HIV status. Those who are evaluated for HIV status, few had included positive cases and few had excluded positive cases. So this has resulted in quite a lot of heterogeneity in the data that we have seen. While this systematic review offers valuable insights, we acknowledge the potential limitations and the bias that we encountered. We might have had selection bias in evaluation and screening of the studies. There was, as I mentioned earlier, quite a lot of variations in the quality of studies and in the methodology of included studies. And because of lack of standardized criteria and the number of various criteria used for diagnosis of CPA, we also encountered a lot of heterogeneity and granularity in the analysis. However, despite these number of limitations, this is the first reported systematic review on chronic pulmonary aspergillosis in post-tuberculosis patients. And despite available research, few studies have specifically evaluated for CPA in individuals with a history of pulmonary tuberculosis. It consolidates data that is already available and gives an estimate of post-TB CPA prevalence, which we found to be approximately 17.4%. So, in conclusion, this review provides valuable insight into the clinical features, diagnostic approaches, and comorbidities associated with CPA. Due to shortage of time, I could not go into the details of the radiological features or the microbiological criteria used in the diagnosis of CPA in these studies. With the consistent literature, this review emphasizes the need for standardized criteria and improvement in diagnostic techniques. One of my colleagues, Dr. Lare, presented a study. Our study did not include patients having serological testing done for Aspergillus-specific IgG, and few patients had undergone testing for the So this is one of the challenges we face in evaluation and diagnosis of CPA in patients with treated pulmonary tuberculosis. Thank you.